Stand by for broadcast.
You're listening to Inside Air, a behind-the-wire view of the Royal Air Force, its people, technology and operations.
Hi, I'm Flight Lieutenant Chris Sully and welcome to the latest RAF Inside Air podcast. In this episode, we'll be finding out what it takes for the Red Arrows to go on tour overseas.
Not only are we a display team, professional display team here in the UK at UK air shows, but we're also used to promote British interests overseas, whether that's in the field of defence, trade, supporting British business. And for this year we're off to Canada to help celebrate the Royal Canadian Air Force's 100th birthday.
This is no mean feat, taking 12 single-engine aeroplanes that can't air-to-air refuel across the Atlantic. There are clearly some risks associated with it.
I've sent 6 ISO containers full of dye, oxygen, nitrogen, all the stuff that they really require to do the tour over there.
The team is immense. I've never felt more welcome on a team in the Air Force, if I'm 100% honest. When I've been away, sometimes you miss home and things like that, but I've never really had that with RAFAT because we have got such a strong team.
As usual, we'll also reheat a few stories which may have slipped under your radar, and we'll be finding out who's under the hat this week with AS1 Ben Russell.
Hardest part of your job?
Hardest part is the predictability of our job. When I've done law enforcement work, you might have a week where it's really nice and chilled and you're able to catch up with a lot of stuff, or you'll have a week where everything will be possibly going wrong, and I'm afraid that there's no in between. It's very up and down as a work, so you can't plan a life much around it, but it is really enjoyable work at the end of the day and it's worth your time.
The Royal Air Force Aerobatic Display Team, known as the Red Arrows, departed the UK at the weekend for a series of displays in Canada to help celebrate the Royal Canadian Air Force's centenary. But what does it take to move a team of pilots, engineers, support crew, the jets and tons of equipment across the Atlantic? Inside Air's Flight Lieutenant Mark McKinstry caught up with the team involved as they prepared to depart.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Blackpool, please put your hands together for the 2024 Royal Air Force Aerobatic Team, the Red Arrows!
Hi, my name is Flight Lieutenant Mark McKinstry, and I am hoping to take you on a journey through the skies with the world's most iconic aerobatic display team, RAFAT, better known as the Royal Air Force Red Arrows.
Holding the bank, now tightening.
As many of you know, the Red Arrows are not just about displaying precision flying. They are ambassadors for the UK, showcasing British excellence, spreading goodwill and strengthening international ties wherever they go.
Holding the bank, now tightening.
In this diamond season, celebrating 60 years of Red Arrows displays, the team has been entertaining British audiences and representing the UK at events such as the King's birthday and the D-Day commemoration.
Letting it out, rolling out.
Following an invitation from our Canadian allies to help celebrate the centenary of the RCAF, or Royal Canadian Air Force, the Red Arrows are embarking on a tour of Canada. I will be reporting from this Maplehawk tour, bringing you closer to the team over the next 5 weeks or so as they wow Canadian audiences with incredible flying in their iconic red Hawk T1 fast jets, now sporting the fresh artwork on their fuselage and tail fins for this diamond season.
Pulling up.
The tour sounds great, but there is the small matter of getting across to Canada first. I caught up with members of the team as they finished the UK display season off ahead of the trip to Canada. I started with Squadron Leader John Bond, Red One for this special season, who told me about his pivotal role.
Red One, the team leader, is responsible for leading 8 other aircraft during the aerobatic display that will be performed across the UK and across Europe already this summer. I'm also responsible for designing the show as well. Each year we like to have something a bit new, freshen it up. So at the end of the season I'll sit down with some whiteboard and pens and draw up a new sequence, maybe adding some manoeuvres that haven't been seen for a few years, or maybe just adapting the ones that we did in the season previous. So that's my job, essentially choreographing and then leading the aerobatic display. So we're coming to the end of our UK season here at Blackpool. We've been displaying since the end of May across Europe and across the UK. We've done 40 odd displays so far, sometimes in beautiful weather like we've got today at Blackpool. We've had a fantastic time celebrating our 60th display season, and we hope lots of people have enjoyed our show so far this summer. We're actually off to Canada on Saturday to go and fly the flag overseas to help celebrate the Royal Canadian Air Force's 100th birthday, and that's also part of RAFAT's role as well. Not only are we a display team, professional display team here in the UK at UK air shows, but we're also used to promote British interests overseas, whether that's in the field of defence, trade, supporting British business, and for this year we're off to Canada to help celebrate the Royal Canadian Air Force's 100th birthday.
Getting over to Canada, some people might not quite realise it's not as straightforward as it would normally be on a civilian or on some of the other jets. Just tell me a little bit about how you actually get to Canada.
Getting to Canada is one of the trickier parts. Once we're there it becomes a little bit easier, but unfortunately these aeroplanes only have one engine and a limited range and fuel. So we can go about 600 miles an hour, so that's about an hour and 45 minutes of flying time. To get up to Canada we've got to go via Scotland, Iceland, Greenland and then into Goose Bay in Canada. So all of that will take about 2 days, each flight about an hour 45 to 2 hours, so we're right up on the end of the range of the Hawk. Also most of these airfields don't have diversions as well, so we'll be holding something called island holding fuel, which allows us to get right to the limit of our range, but unfortunately doesn't give us many options if the weather's poor. So we'll be watching the weather very, very closely throughout the next week and right up until Saturday, and then we'll make our decisions based on the forecast weather, because as I said we're right up against that range and there's nowhere else to go if the weather is poor. So we'll be making those decisions right up until the last moment, and hopefully we'll arrive on time in Canada on Sunday.
And this isn't your first tour to Canada with the Red Arrows. What's it like actually transiting across?
The transit across is quite quiet. We're kind of constantly updating the weather. We've got escort aircraft with us. Unfortunately, the Hawk T1 isn't equipped with the navigational and communications suite that's required to transit across the Atlantic. So we do have an escort aeroplane with us. So this year we're taking the P8, the Maritime Patrol Aircraft, surveillance and reconnaissance aircraft that's based at Lossiemouth. So they'll be flying with us alongside an A400, which will be taking our ground support crew, meeting us in the destinations. So we'll be liaising with them, we're getting updates with weather, etc., because that's kind of the critical piece of the jigsaw puzzle that we need in order to arrive at our destinations safely and reasonably remote locations as well, especially in Greenland. So we'll be flying along with them, taking in the view if we can, but we'll just be watching our fuel gauge very carefully, and again just getting constant updates on weather, winds. Tend to get some quite strong winds across the Atlantic, especially heading west. So we'll be monitoring those, making sure we've got enough fuel and range to get to our destination safely.
Welcome everybody. It's great to have representatives here from the P8, from the A400 and then the Red Arrows. This is our really main opportunity to talk about coordinating the transatlantic crossing. So this is no mean feat, taking 12 single engine aeroplanes that can't air-to-air refuel across the Atlantic. There are clearly some risks associated with it, but the plan that we've got, the mitigations that we've got, will make that process as safe as possible. But today is all about bringing that plan together, talking about how everybody fits into that plan, making it as safe and successful as possible.
So we'll run through this, we'll talk about things, we'll do it in slow time, and we'll take our time over it and see how you guys get on. It looks simple, but it's 3,000 miles in 3 days with 12 single-engine aeroplanes.
And I'm sure in your RAF career, you've been to lots of different places. Not too many people, I would imagine, fly into Greenland, fly across from Iceland. What's that actually like to fly in across, ice, across through big fjords?
It's quite incredible scenery in Greenland. I landed there in 2019, and even in the middle of August, I can remember landing at the end of the runway at Narsarsuaq and seeing a mini iceberg at the end of the runway. So it's still quite cold at that time of year, even in August. But you get some incredible views of the ice fields as you come into the approach. Again, we'll just be hoping the weather's nice on the day, that we can see below us. There's quite high terrain as well, so we've got to watch out for that. So we need a nice high cloud base to be able to get beneath any cloud that we do and not get too close to the terrain. So all of those considerations will be put into the planning process before we launch, and then hopefully it's nice sunny blue skies for our arrival into Greenland.
And then when you actually get to Canada, how much are you looking forward to it?
We can't wait to get to Canada. There's some fantastic air shows that we're performing at. I performed at the Toronto Air Show in 2019, and we're doing that again this summer. So I can't wait to get involved in that. Some great flypaths across some iconic landmarks in Canada, Niagara Falls being one of them, and also some mixed formation flypaths with our colleagues and friends at the Snowbirds, the Canadian equivalent of the Red Arrows. So we can't wait to perform with them, and we can't wait to meet everyone in Canada as well.
Of course, it is one thing to pilot the aircraft to Canada, but a lot of preparation has gone into making the trail across the Atlantic possible. I spoke to a member of the Blues heavily involved in that preparation.
My name is Chief Tech Gary Wright. I am the RAFAT Arm TM and the Unit Movements Officer. So the Armament Trade Manager is basically look after all armaments, ejection seats, everything armament on the jet, and I have 9 people underneath me which do the day-to-day running of the aircraft. The Unit Movements Officer basically says what it is on the tin. I move kit for RAFAT to wherever we're going on tour or exercise. I've been with the team since September the 11th, 2023.
And how long a career have you had? What have you been doing?
I've been in the military for nearly 26 years now. I've mainly worked fast jet on Jaguar, Harrier, Typhoon, Tornado, this and Chinooks.
It's quite a mix.
Well, it is quite a mix. It's been busy because of the build-up, which is for Spring Hawk through. So we go to Greece and Croatia, and we do that for 6 weeks to get the public display authority. Once they've got the display authority, they can then display for the season, and during that time I'm doing the planning for the tour, and it's a short tour this time, which is about 6 weeks, and that's into Canada. So I'm basically just get all the kit together, sort out the personnel, what the requirements are for them. But prior to that, before we do any exercise or operation, then we do a recce of wherever we're going. So we would go 10 months prior to Greece or Croatia, or Greece, Croatia, or Canada, and so we'd go and look at we're basically going with a statement of requirements of what we want. So we'd be going in and we'd be looking at real estate, accommodation, aircraft operating services, what kit we need to take, what kit they can offer us. So, like with infrastructure, do they give us Wi-Fi? Are there going to be fridges, that sort of thing, so we can have a T-bar? And basically, where we can put all the ground support equipment that goes with the aircraft, and where we can actually put the aircraft, and is their aircraft dispersal big enough to put the aircraft onto in a line, or will we have to put them into 2 banks of 6, so which is called Beckett's. So that's basically what we're looking at, and then after that we go into all the planning. So the planning would probably happen 6 months prior to us going away. The planning will be multiple meetings with the hierarchy of RAFAT. If we're going on exercise with A7, which we are into Canada with the tour, we would go down to High Wycombe and this sort of thing, and sit around a planning and do a planning conference, or sit around a table effectively, iron out any problems that we have. So with MT, air transport, what air transport do we actually need? How far are we going to go? Do we have multiple stops on the way? So in the case of Canada, we're going to go from Waddington up to Stornoway. It's going to be Stornoway to Iceland. We'll overnight in Iceland. We'll replenish the aircraft with oxygen systems and stuff. And then it'll be over to Narsarsuaq, which is in Greenland. That'll be like a 1 hour 45 stop. They'll refuel, and then they'll go on to Goose Bay. They'll overnight in Goose Bay, and then we'll end up to our destination, which is in Greenwood in Halifax.
So we've heard a little bit from the pilots about how the aircraft gets across the water.
Yeah.
But it's not just getting little red aircraft from the UK across to Canada.
Yeah.
There's so much more involved.
Yeah.
There's a lot involved with the team. There's all the kit, all the personnel, everything that's involved in that.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that, about how important it is for you to make sure that every single person and every single piece of kit goes with the aircraft.
Yeah, so with the kit, I send out basically a surface move, so it would be by sea, and I've sent 6 ISO containers full of dye, oxygen, nitrogen, all the stuff that they really require to do the tour over there. And then after that I would send an air move, which I'm doing the build for this week, and that's 12 aircraft pallets of ground support equipment, even things down to luggage and things like that. Just everything that they need to operate, so the tooling, the test equipment, all the PEP, so all the spares, that needs to go all be air moved. So that will go out with 2 hit teams, so 2 trail teams. So it will go on A401, A402. We'll have 18 people on each aircraft. That could be down to media personnel, the photographer, and then 15 engineering guys. And the engineering guys essentially will follow on the 2 packets of the Red Arrows, so they'll go 1 to 6 and 7 to 12. And the A400s will carry on with those, and the eng teams will frog each other as well as the aircraft. So if there is any problems, they can engineer them on the ground there. But also we have 2 P8 aircraft as well, which are coming from Lossiemouth, I believe, and they are effectively, they're our safety guys. They are looking at if we have a problem, what problems are in front of us, sea states, that sort of thing. So we also have them, and then we've also get the main party guys, the bulk of the engineering squadron across.
So are you almost completely self-sufficient then? Do you have to make sure that when the team flies over, that's it, they're not reaching back for spares or other bits and pieces?
Yeah, so they've got to be self-sufficient. So like I say, they've got to have oxygen systems on there to replenish the oxygen. They've got to have the tooling there, the spares there. So I put that all on one airplane, and effectively that airplane is the sweeper of the aircraft of the 2 A400s. So if an aircraft goes down in the first 1 to 6, then that second A400 will go and mop up with an eng team, and hopefully mend the aircraft.
How do you go about planning something like that? You know, do you draw upon experience?
Yeah.
Your own experience? Do you speak to other people?
My own experiences, the engineering team's experiences, obviously people that have worked on RAFAT for a long time. How has that business been carried out before? Through a movements point of view, I go and speak to the movers. I'm very good friends with the movers. The supply guys, I'm good friends with the supply guys. I'm just got to have that, that voice with them as a team every single day. As well as being an engineer, I have to step outside the engineering box and go into their boxes, and that's the only way it can work.
So when you get there, and everyone gets there, and all the pieces get there, will you relax then, or do you relax afterwards when everything is done?
No, I will not relax until we get home. because of because how the tour is operating, so it's going lineal instead of a hub and spoke. It's going lineal, so as soon as we get there, we're staying in each place for about a week at a time. So effectively, when I've unpacked, I'm going to have to repack to do an air move, and then followed by 2 road moves, and then pack up at the end again. It's effectively through my own experiences. Prior to this job, I was also a unit movements officer on 12 Squadron Typhoon. Did a 6-month tour of Qatar for the World Cup. And also I lean on other people as well. I have to. I can't do this all on my own. It's one person. It's a lot of work for one person. So I have to get the entire team of RAFAT help out in some way, shape or form, whether it's packing up the tools, the suppliers getting me the dye, getting me the oxygen, getting me the nitrogen, all the stuff that I need to replenish. I have to lean on everybody, and of course the movements guys as well. I've got to lean on those permanently. They are my best friends in this job. Without that team, the Red Arrows would not exist. And they keep pulling it out of the bag week after week throughout the display season, and I'm sure they will on the tour as well.
Are you looking forward to it?
I am looking forward to it, yes.
Do you foresee any particular highlight? Is there something that you're specifically looking forward to?
I'm just looking forward to everything going well. Us all getting there in one piece, and the team doing fantastic displays, and then coming home, all 12 aircraft coming home together, so they're not all over the globe at some point in different places.
And then you'll relax.
And then I'll relax.
Circus is a team of support crew who generally fly in the rear seat of the jets when transiting, but not in displays or on the journey over to Canada. They ensure the jets are serviced at each location when away from RAF Waddington. As with the aircrew, its members have individual numbers, denoting which pilot they fly with.
Hello, my name is Corporal Jessica Ware. I work with the Red Arrows, and my role on the team is Circus 6.
So what does your role entail?
My role as Circus 6 is an onboard engineer, specialising in airframe and propulsion technician snags. Should we arrive on location, have a problem with the engines or the airframe, I'll work with the other mechs on the team and solve those issues. I'm also Docs Controller, ensuring that all the aircraft documentation is up to date and ready to go before flights.
And how long have you been with the team?
I've been with the team for 4 years now. This is my 5th year. It's my final year, ready to move on after the season's done.
Are you ready to move on, or are you slightly disappointed?
Absolutely devastated to be moving on, if I'm honest. There's definitely going to be a hangover from here, without a doubt.
Well, I suppose we're halfway through the season. We've done the UK side of things. It's now the time to go to Canada. That's not a bad way to sort of bow out from the team, is it?
No, absolutely not. I'm absolutely looking forward to going to Canada. I'm looking forward to meeting the Snowbirds and working with Hangar 7 engineers to see how they do their things across the pond, as well as getting to be around Niagara Falls. That's always been on a bucket list for a trip away, so being able to complete that within the Air Force is magical, really.
So are those the things that you're looking forward to the most?
Absolutely, without a doubt. And I know I share that with some of the other team members as well.
And it's not just a simple hop across to Canada for you guys. Tell me a little bit about that journey, and are you looking forward to that, or are you slightly concerned about that?
It's going to be a long trip over there. Like you say, it's not very easy at all. We'll be going up towards Scotland from there. We're splitting into 2 teams. My team will be flying from Waddington and then going to Iceland. The other team will be going from Scotland into Greenland. The aircraft will then hop up the country, across to Iceland, across to Greenland, and then into Canada, where hopefully my team will have arrived from Iceland to go and see them by that point. So there's lots of moving parts, lots of things that could go wrong, lots of things that we hope will go right to arrive there safely and as efficiently as possible, really. The team is immense. I've never felt more welcome on a team in the Air Force, if I'm 100% honest. When I've been away, sometimes you can you know, you miss home and things like that. But I've never really had that with Rafat because we have got such a strong team, a strong family bond. We deploy together, so you know, you build up those family ties essentially. So I'm looking forward to that. The teamwork, professionally and socially, is something else. I'm proud to be representing the Air Force anyway, but to be part of the cream of the crop, essentially, it was something I was aspired to when I joined the Air Force. I fill with pride whenever I think about it. I sometimes have to pinch myself even now when we're getting in these aircraft and taxiing out. I'm like, is this real? So incredibly proud, and proud to be representing the country in such a way that we can.
But what's it like to sort of transit and travel around in the back seat of the jet as well?
It's phenomenal. I can't really compare it to anything. Even the roller coasters that you can go on at theme parks, nothing quite does it the same way. The views, what an office view when we're transiting from location, going through the lakes, when we're transiting over towards Greece and back again, it's been surreal. Like I say, I've had to pinch myself. Am I really here? Am I actually seeing these views? It's exhilarating.
When undertaking a cross-Atlantic journey such as this without the opportunity to refuel mid-air, it is vital to have the correct kit for the pilots.
Hi, I'm Mick Nicholson. My rank is Corporal. I'm a full-time reservist on the Red Arrows.
And what do you do on the Red Arrows?
Survival equipment technician.
And so what does that entail?
Basically, it's all the pilots' flying equipment, from helmet, oxygen mask, LSJs, which is a life-saving jacket, the G-pants, and these main survival equipment that if they have an accident, it all works and yeah, they're safe.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
How long have you been with the team?
16 years.
Right, okay, so this is not your first rodeo, is it?
No, not at all. Not at all.
And how many tours have you done before? Have you been on all of them?
No, I've just been on the one. I went to Saudi Arabia, and that was one. And the rest, because I've done most of things in my RF career, I've let other people go, because I only work in a small team of 3 of us. So yeah, give the younger people a chance.
So obviously the team's going off to Canada. How excited are you about that?
Yeah, I've not really done Canada. I've done Goose Bay, but that's not really Canada. I know it's part of Canada, but all the other places I've never been. So it'd be a nice little tour for me.
I take it it'll be fairly busy for you as well?
Yeah, especially with all the hops that they're doing to different countries like Iceland, because when they fly over water, because it's so cold, they've got to wear immersion suits. So we've got to be on call just in case something happens. So
I know that some of the team are getting to Canada in different ways.
Yeah.
Are you going on one of the A400s then?
We are, yeah. We're sort of the last ones to leave on the A400 on Saturday. So what we'll do, we'll fly direct to Iceland, and then we'll wait for them to arrive, and hopefully we'll have no problems. It'll run smoothly.
And there's a fair mix in the team in terms of experience of tours before.
Yes.
Are the younger ones or the more inexperienced leaning on sort of the old timers a little bit, just to sort of see how things work?
Because I only work in a small team of 3 of us. I mean, we're all quite experienced because we're all junior NCOs. So the younger people are like the mechanical trades and the AVs. But yeah, they still come and ask us for advice and things like that, which is quite nice because, yeah.
How much are you looking forward to displaying in Canada and helping the Air Force there celebrate their centenary?
Oh, it'd be fantastic, absolutely lovely. Yeah, that is 100th year, and yeah, it'd be great.
Is there anything you're looking forward to, or any particular place you're interested in?
No, I mean, just as I said, half the places we're going I've never been, and that's what I like to do, go to places I've never been to, which is very few places.
And in terms of getting set and sorted and organised for going away to Canada, you know, is it just normal service? You pack it slightly differently, or is there something in particular that you have to do?
Well, with our trade, what we've got to do is get everything ready before we go. So hopefully it'll be just like if you're here later on, you'll see we go out on the line and we just wait, and once they go, that's our job done until they come back. Then we have to flight the kit for the next day, and hopefully that's all it'll be like.
Just rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Throughout the 60 seasons of Red Arrow's displays, there have been incredible images captured by the team. There are 3 RAF visual communicators on RAFAT. One of those photographers is part of the circus team, and his Red Arrows images can be seen on the team's official social media channels.
Hi, I'm Corporal Phil Dye of the Red Arrows, and I'm Circus 10. Circus 10 is the name assigned to the person who sits in the back and takes the photographs and videos for the Red Arrows. Yeah, so Circus 10, I have the privileged job of going up with Red 10, who flies the spare jet or the photo chase jet, and I sit in his back seat, and it's our job to move around the formation, whether that be a fly pass or a display or a practice, and we get them amazing photographs from the back seat. It's very challenging. We obviously have to fight with the G-forces whilst videoing and photographing, so that adds an extra challenge to my day job, but what a fantastic job and an absolute privilege to be able to do that for the world famous Red Arrows. So I've been a photographer, videographer for the Royal Air Force for 13 years, and there was an opportunity to apply for the Red Arrows. As most people who join the Reds, they have to apply, and I had an interview. I had to submit my best images, my best videos, and thankfully they picked me for the job.
And how much sort of acclimatizing does it take? You know, it's one thing to be able to take really nice photographs and video, but you mentioned about the G-force that's involved in that. How do you acclimatise to that, and is there a lot of training you have to go through to be comfortable with doing your normal job under that pressure?
Yeah, so the circus team are put through the same type of training that the pilots do in that respect, to familiarise yourself with how it feels under G-force, high pressured breathing, and so they put us through things like the centrifuge training, the one that spins round and round, so we can experience what G-force is like before we even set foot in the jet. And then before we go on the season tour, we will be taken on a test flight to make sure that we are comfortable and know how to experience them G-forces throughout the season.
Does it affect you a lot when you're trying to take an image?
Certainly the G-forces definitely affect me. My camera weighs enough as it is, so imagine weighing 3 or 4 times as much whilst trying to get that shot. You get accustomed to it. You learn how to position your body and where to be when I know my pilot's going to be turning left or right or upside down. I will make sure I'm already in a good position to anticipate that. But sometimes it feels like I'm holding a bowling ball when I'm taking the photographs. So it is challenging, but when you get that shot, it's very rewarding and you feel proud. So the Canada tour for 2024 is coming up. I'm very excited for that. I've never been to Canada before, so I'm really looking forward to visiting places like Toronto, Montreal. We will be photo chasing mixed formation with the Thunderbirds. We will be going over Niagara Falls, which has been done before, but I hope to get a unique spin on that photograph, and hopefully something to come back with that'll go in the history books of the Red Arrows. Of course, we're really looking forward to the Canada tour. Being away from home is difficult, especially having already done half of the season, and another 5 weeks away from family and friends. It's difficult, it takes its toll, but because of all the exciting places we're looking forward to going, and we're going to be so busy anyway, it helps take your mind off things and you can concentrate on that.
When you see the display, you see all the jets flying together, and sometimes you see that one aircraft off to the side. Is that you? And if it is, tell me why and how that sort of works.
Yes, often fans will be at an event, or they'll see us fly by, or a practice or a display, and they'll often see a rogue jet flying around the rest of the formation. And it's easy to think that some of the crowd are thinking, well, who is that? What, are they supposed to be there? And that'll be me, Red 10 flying, obviously, and myself, Circus 10 in the back. And we are the Whip, which is the photo chase jet, and we are there to be capturing the videos and the stills of that formation or display, or even when we break to land at a certain airport or an airfield, you'll often see ourselves really chasing the rest of the pack to get that great shot over the airfield as we land.
As Phil said, he takes his incredible award-winning photographs from the backseat of Red 10, piloted by squadron leader Graham Muscat, the team supervisor. Red 10 is the voice you may hear at displays, giving the commentary and supporting the team from the ground. thereby giving him the opportunity to meet the public at every display in this special season.
2024 celebrates our 60th display season. We were formed in 1964 with our first pub display in 1965, and 60 years of Red Arrows is a great milestone to celebrate and to achieve. Not only that, we are back to our world famous Diamond 9 formation. We've got the full jet complement. Can't wait. Again, I've never been to Canada, so it's one of those countries that I've always wanted to go to. Not only do we get to experience the Canadian hospitality, the Canadian population, but we're also there, more importantly, to celebrate the Royal Canadian Air Force 100th. We know in the Royal Air Force how special that is. We celebrated in 2018, so here we are now, and it's an absolute pleasure and an honour for the Red Arrows to go over to Canada, not only to work alongside our brethren, the Royal Canadian Snowbirds, their display team, but to be able to celebrate the Royal Canadian 100th with them on their own turf and bring the red, white and blue to Canada is an absolute honour and a pleasure.
And like you said before, the pilots will obviously fly the display. You'll have the photo chase to do, but also how much are you looking forward to getting on the ground and meeting some of the people in Canada as well?
Yeah, again, for instance, Toronto Air Show is one of the biggest air shows in the world. So for me to be on the ground and meet the public exactly the same way that I do in the UK, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking to engage in spreading that Royal Air Force and Red Arrows message all across the displays that we do and all the shows, and hopefully we'll bring them something that they may not have seen before.
And as Red 10 on those chases and getting, I've spoken to Phil about how his job, how his role has evolved and chasing and getting those photographs, those iconic images. Obviously he gets all the kudos from the photographs, but you actually have to position them and put them in the right place for that. So tell me a little bit about that and how enjoyable that might be.
It's amazing. So first of all, what we do is we speak to the team, the rest of the Red to one time. We look at the flight path that they're going to follow, and then Phil and I will come up with which side we're going to be to get the best image. And we'll also think about sun position. It's quite glancing, it's quite fleeting. But more importantly, what I think from my perspective is once I'm in the right position is I can really enjoy the view. When you're in the formation, you're generally looking at Red 1. You don't get to see outside of the formation. You don't get to enjoy the sights. As Red 10 and photo chasing, I will get to see Niagara Falls, the CN Tower. I will be able to take in those sights. Those images will be ingrained on my brain for the rest of my life. So it's a wonderful opportunity, and we'll capture some images that will last a lifetime.
The tour will feature thrilling aerobatic displays, colourful flypasts and engaging ground events, continuing to showcase the Royal Air Force and represent the United Kingdom on a global stage in front of millions of people. Nova Scotia, Toronto, Ottawa, London, Ontario, Montreal and St John's in Newfoundland will all be stops on the tour. Check back with Inside Air over the coming weeks and hear more about the team and how they get on with the Maple Hawk Tour in this, the Diamond 60th display season of the Royal Air Force aerobatic team, the Red Arrows.
Hi, I'm AS1 Emma Kerwin, and this is Reheat, where we take a look back at some of the stories you might have missed. An RAF detachment returning from Australia has joined exercise Tarang Shakti 2024, the first ever multinational air exercise organised by the Indian Air Force. 6 Typhoons from RAF Coningsby-based 11 Fighter Squadron have been deployed to southern India to take part, supported by 2 Voyager aircraft and an Atlas aircraft from the RAF's Air Mobility Force based at RAF Bresnorton. The exercise gives the RAF and other European countries the opportunity to fly with the Indian Air Force in a complex air environment to deliver a variety of air missions. RAF F-35B jets from RAF Marham have deployed to Iceland to take part in an air policing mission. This is the first time British F-35s have conducted a NATO air policing mission in the country, defending airspace in the Arctic region. The latest air policing mission comes after a recent similar 4-month mission by Typhoon aircraft in Romania. And the Royal Air Force is using a blend of sustainable aviation fuel with normal jet fuel on routine operations for the first time. Aircraft including Typhoon and Poseidon submarine hunters operating from RAF Lossiemouth in Scotland have been using SAF. Group Captain Billy Cooper says the RAF is ensuring Britain is secure in a more sustainable manner.
We're really excited about the opportunity to use more synthetic fuels, and with the Air Force pushing for net zero by 2040, it's really important that we start this trials work and show that we're able to operate sustainably. And with a synthetic blend of up to 50% in any defence airframe, that's really important.
You've been listening to Reheat for Inside Air.
Thanks, Emma. And now it's time to find out who's under the hat with Ben.
I'm AS1 Ben Russell, and this is Under the Hat, where we get to know an aviator in less than a minute. Name you're known by.
So I'm Corporal Campbell. I'm based currently at RAF Huntington.
What's your profession?
I'm RAF Police.
What's the best thing about your job?
So in my career, I've done several different roles within the RAF Police. Currently, I'm working in a HQ strategic level environment, which for a corporal at my level is really good insight into how the RAF Police operate in a much larger scale.
Hardest part of your job?
Hardest part is the predictability of our job. When I've done law enforcement work, you might have a week where it's really nice and chilled and you're able to catch up with a lot of stuff, or you'll have a week where everything will be possibly going wrong, and I'm afraid that there's no in between. It's very up and down as a work, so you can't plan a life much around it, but it is really enjoyable work at the end of the day, and it's worth your time.
Best location you've served?
Best location I've served in is RAF Waddington. It's a really nice base. It was close to home for me, and the work that I did was really enjoyable.
And what bit of luxury kit do you never deploy without?
The kit I couldn't deploy without is my service police notebook. Without that, I would be getting so much trouble, and I wouldn't be able to do my job properly.
Thank you, Corporal Campbell, for helping us with our inquiries on Under the Hat.
Cheers, Ben. And that's all for this episode of Inside Air. Please give us a review, subscribe on your favourite podcast app, and join us again soon.
You've been listening to Inside Air, a behind-the-wire view of the Royal Air Force, its people, technology and operations. If you're serving in the RAF and have a story for us, please speak to your unit media and communications officer. Inside Air is written and produced for the Royal Air Force by RAF Media Reserves.